One very important strand in this is part of what we might call the history of events, I suppose. It centres around the growth of the Persian Empire. He starts the history by actually not with Persia, but in Lydia, a place in between the two realms of East and West, somewhere almost on the cusp between East and West. But we quickly move on as to how Persia, as it expands, takes over Lydia, then takes over Babylon, moves into Syria, Egypt, India, Lydia, Scythia, all sorts of other places. So you've got that great overarching theme which goes over 100 years, really, of how Persia becomes great, takes in all sorts of other countries, and whatever else that does, that provides a marvellous framework for introducing all those other things that are a fair game for his inquiries, for his marvels. Then the Persians attacked Lydia. Let me tell you about Lydia. Let me tell you about Scythia, and all these things can be woven into that framework. Now, it all builds up in the final books to the most remarkable marvel of them all, which is when Persia attacks Greece. And this starts with the Ionian Revolt around the year 500, moves into the events that we remember as the Persian Wars, the Battle of Marathon in 490, then the great battles of Thermopylae and Artemisium and Salamis and Plataea towards the end. And this is an absolute marvel, this absolutely vast Persian army with a tremendous run of success behind it, not unbroken but largely successful, that eventually attacks and is defeated. The Greeks defeat Persia in the end, fighting for liberty, fighting for themselves, freedom, against the Persian invader. Now, this gives what we might think of as a narrative thrust. A narrative in the sense of a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, a story of events, a story of what humans do. And it starts with the Persians, it ends with the Persians, it ends with them going back, tail between their legs, going back to their own country at the end. Now that is a story, that's a narrative, it's a linear sequence, and we think of a narrative as very much the thing we expect from at least traditional history. Of course, there are all sorts of other ways you can do history as well, but that linear start at the beginning, take a story, take it through to the end, is something that Herodotus introduces, though for him it's only part of a story. It's as much framework as preoccupation, but it was something that then became very influential in how history develops later.